One is a grown man with an encyclopedic knowledge of cinema. The other, a man-child raised by the more questionable corners of the internet. What happens when they each dive into something the other one loves? Find out on
The Man with No Brain.
Okay, so Ryan, the floor is yours.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to episode, well, I guess this would be episode
5.2.
5.2.
It'll be 6. It'll be 6.
Okay, it's
Oh, no, it'll be episode
all right,
6.
well, episode 6 of The Man with
I don't know.
The Man with No Brain. My name is Ryan Matthew Ziegler, and as always, I am joined by Joseph Robert Buckley, who is the titular Man with No Brain.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm like Frankenstein, and you're Dr. Frankenstein.
And does that mean you're scared of fire?
Ooh, firebird. Ooh.
I'm serious, Joe, because I know you've got some weird fears. Are you afraid of fire?
No, I love fire. I'm a
No,
pyro.
he's
I'm
attracted
a
to fire, I
pyromaniac,
think.
yeah.
I know you're afraid of rain.
No, I
and
am
you're afraid
of rain.
storms.
Yeah.
Like whenever it starts getting cloudy outside, you like run to the window.
I got
and
a
you're
check.
getting all worked up, and you're pacing back and forth like a dog.
Well, I gotta see my umbrella. I gotta make sure my umbrella's still good. I gotta make
I
sure.
think we got another episode topic, fears. Yes.
Joe hears a little rumble.
Write
He
that
shits
down.
the floor like a dog on 4th of July.
Ooh, they're lighting off fireworks again.
Yeah.
Daddy.
And Trevor, we have Trevor. I forgot, Trevor. What we have a name for you.
The
we have
examiner?
a role for
The
the examiner, is that
investigator?
what it
I
was?
don't know.
The executor.
Executor of your state, Joe. The uncomfortable third person.
Yeah, the third wheel, and that's fine. I love a good third wheel.
Well, I like to take my tricycle and just go down a grassy knoll, if you know what I'm saying.
Do you know what a knoll is, Joe?
I know it's kind of like maybe like a nice street or something. I know it's where JFK got shot.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No, he was not killed. Well, no, that's fine.
Well, he was killed in the street.
Yes,
I don't know
that's
what
true.
a grassy knoll is. I just know that.
I believe a
factored
knoll is
into
like
it.
a hill.
Oh, so that's the
Yeah.
hill where the FBI assassinated our
Yeah,
president.
because the shots came allegedly from the grassy knoll.
Yeah. There were 3 shooters.
Or the book depository. Almost said suppository.
Oh,
Depository.
Or the buck depository.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Joe, what is the difference between a depository and a suppository?
A depository is like where... No, listen. The library depository is where you take books and you just smear them in dog shit and put them back in there so the old ladies have to pick them up. The suppository is a little pill you shove up your cat's bottom if he gets worms.
I
You're
mean,
a
the second
piece of
part is
trash.
correct.
Yeah.
But
Smearing shit on books, so somebody's grandmother gets fecal matter on her hands at the library when she's just trying to fill her retirement years with something to do.
Hey, I've never done it. I've just heard stories of that take
he's heard
place.
tell.
Yeah, in youth. Youth
your
folly.
days. Had to fill those days
So,
with something. He wasn't working.
Well,
We know that much.
yeah, listen. I wasn't going to read Harry Potter any other way unless there was duty.
So episode 5 obviously was we had an experiment. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it.
I am a beautiful boy. My mother says so.
Yeah. But it is still a 2-parter. So episode 5 was all about Joe, all about Joe's employment or lack thereof, his sketchy employment history and background.
Hey, let me tell you, if
And
you
that
can
was-
pay me in cash, I'm a happy boy.
You got to do something, though, Joe.
No, but what if I sit? You can pay me in cash and I sit.
And you just sit there?
Yeah.
No.
No, like an art piece. Just think of it.
No.
It's a statement on youth of America.
You wouldn't
No.
sit still long
How
enough.
lazy millennials
You're a little.
are.
You're if maybe if we started this like 5-6 years ago when you looked like a youth still, you might be onto something. You look like just a man now.
Okay. I think it would
Yeah,
be...
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe has hit that point. I try to find a good reference. Whenever there would be sitcoms in the 70s, Happy Days.
Oh, I get you. Like, I look how like that boy in 2.5 Men looked like in the late days of 2.5 Men.
exactly, Joe.
Yeah.
You're on
You
like
hit that-
he's like season 8 of a child character. You look like
he's-
Dewey at the end of Malcolm in the Middle.
Now all I have
yeah,
to
it's
do...
at that point. It's
Yeah.
at that point where you're still the character. We're still putting you in the juvenile clothes.
But
Yeah,
he's
and you're
looking
still
a
the
little gangly, if you know what I mean.
And he's got a
You're
storyline about
looking a
getting to
little-
the prom,
Yeah.
but he's 25.
Well, no,
You're
I'm...
looking a little worse for wear. You're starting to get the bags under the eyes. It's like a reunion special. It's like the Munsters 1988 special, and little Butch Patrick they're still dressing him up, as the little kid,
But he's like 35.
yeah, it's looking a little.
He has to
little
take his
awkward.
diabetes medicine like in between shots. Just take his insulin.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where you're at, Joe.
Oh God, I
At
can't wait to take
25, you're starting
insulin.
to-
Yeah. All right, Joe, I think you've stalled enough. We gave you an assignment last time.
So
Can you
episode-
please show your homework?
I hate doing homework so much.
He hates doing homework. He hates doing work.
Joe's assignment was to bring back 3 job searches. He was supposed to find 3 and apply, if he can, 3 reasonable job searches because he is unemployed right now, and he says he has no desire to go back to the movie theater that he was
Well, I'm
previously employed
fired.
at.
I
'Cause he
can't.
has-
That's
well,
not
yeah,
how
but they
I'm
also
fired.
sent you an email that you could reapply. They just want you to just do it again.
Everyone has
probably-
been let go due to coronavirus. However, they have sent you an email saying if you were to apply, you would have preferential treatment because you
Joe,
already
no,
know.
ain't
Joe,
saying
do you
anything
have
about
the
that.
email?
Yeah, I can get that for
Let's
you.
do a
read
live
the
reading,
email.
please.
1 second. I can get that for you.
Yeah, pull up the
Thank
email.
You guys just gotta stall. I can't do 2 things at once.
I saw what you were doing, Joe. You were just sitting there constantly circling the apply button on for a job at Goodwill.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, do I really want to work and earn money, or do I want to stay at home and get my government payout?
No, that's not fair. I'm for load.
For load?
Yeah.
You are for loads.
You are a load.
Okay.
You are 4 loads worth
Okay, I got this email.
of something.
They say that.
Let me read it. Gimme.
Okay.
I don't want any editorializing
That's
here.
fine. Sorry, I hit
Yeah,
the
let,
microphone.
let
Tyler.
Trevor read it.
This is from Ryan, last name omitted.
Yeah, for his protection.
And Ryan is the general manager
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
Roxy,
yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Joe, in regards to the group email I sent to everyone on March 28, 2020 about employment eligibility, the management team and I have determined that you are not eligible to return to Roxy.
Nope.
This decision was based on a combination of general on-site observations made from myself, the management team. Oof, this guy can't proofread.
Wow.
Made by the management team and myself, along with a review of previous corrective actions and thorough evaluation done by the management team and myself. Keep in mind this separation is on good terms and you can reapply if desired when we are hiring. Thank you for your service and good luck with your future endeavors. He is also listed as the procurement director.
I don't think that sound. It doesn't sound good, Joe.
I will admit, this does sound worse than Joe let on.
Well,
This is a little more concrete of, yeah, dude, get the
yeah,
fuck
no,
out
that's
of
it.
here.
Yeah.
I will say, however, also explicitly stated is this door is not closed.
No, yeah.
But this is like they tried to slam it, but it's too heavy and it
Well,
didn't shut all the way.
Yeah, they wanted because they also understand that maybe coming to the movie theaters, they're not going to have a big rush of people wanting to go apply, and
Right.
so they're like, well, we may need somebody to clean out the rat trap and throw the old,
Yeah,
you
the
know, the
tails
old
away.
pos-
Throw the tails into the grease.
scoop up the old possums that get in the screening rooms and whatnot. And Joe was good at that, so just in
He's good at-
case.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I got heavy boots, so I can kill basically anything smaller than me that comes in. If a cat gets in the door, a raccoon, anything.
We had a bird in there once in the vents.
Oh yeah, there's bats in there. There's
And
all
it-
kinds of critters.
You could trace where it was flying, and then we heard a thud by Theater 3, by the exit door, and it fell down. And we could hear it fall down and like flap around.
Oh yeah, they do
And
that.
then a couple minutes later, we didn't hear anything ever again, and
You
it's
could,
probably still in there.
I was gonna say you could just hear like 2 ravens butt fucking in the rafters. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's how
Joe,
the second one sounds.
The way I feel about that email, it's not a good email.
That's
To me, it sounds like they said, "Look, Joe, you're not a great employee.
No.
All right,
Oh, I agree.
you're
That's
welcome to
fine.
apply. You're welcome to reapply. We will give you the same consideration we'll give anybody. You know, we don't dislike you. You're not fired per se, but looking back at your work history, we're not really we're not sending you the invite to just come back and be an employee.
Well,
I'd be curious as to what other emails sounded like to other employees there.
Well, I did not know that you were not supposed to mix cherry slush and cheese Fountain Dew.
Can I ask you this, Joe?
What's
Are the powers that be at the Roxy, are they aware of malevolent movies? Are they
Oh yeah,
aware?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because we shot stuff there. Yeah, they know about that.
the intro of one of them is shot in the Roxy, isn't it?
Yeah. No, we definitely done
Manet?
stuff there.
Yeah.
But have
I
they
know this-
watched it or listened to any of
Yeah,
it?
I think some of the people there have.
In my mind, in my memory anyway, and I could be wrong. I could be confusing podcast Joe with Joe just in general, talking off
Off
you know,
mic.
But you've been very critical about the Roxy as both a place to watch movies and as a job.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not
You
paying me
reference
on my off
constantly,
time.
You know, you
I mean,
often have referenced Vermin
Joe's got
and
a
how
point.
you.
Hey, excuse
Everybody
me, I
there,
didn't-
every single patron is an old piece of shit
Actually,
that you don't want to deal with.
Ryan, you
So
are
I'm just
you are onto
thinking,
something because I put out that teaser for Fluebirds, and it definitely has the portion where Joe calls out the Roxy and says it's a shithole. He's never going back because his grandmother chastised
said
Joe,
yes.
and I know that the general manager watches our freaking show, so I'll bet he heard Joe say that.
I was like, you know what? No.
But just like you said, Ryan, he needs coming back. He's gonna need somebody to scrape out the old butter bin, and Joe will do it with his 2 front teeth.
Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. Where's my overtime checks then? If I'm supposed to be getting paid off the clock,
What?
if I'm supposed to be singing praises for my job off the
No,
clock,
it's
I
not-
need my overtime check.
There's not. You don't need to be singing praises. You just need to not be saying.
Well,
how
I'm
big of
an
a shithole it
entertainer.
is and all.
I'm an
Oh, he's an
entertainer.
entertainer,
I have to
folks.
entertain the folks, the
I
masses.
can't. I can't argue with that. I suppose.
Yeah, but you know the thing is, Joe, is that the managers, et cetera, at that movie theater are not entertainers. They don't understand that world. They don't understand the bit, the concept of doing a bit. So all they see is an employee calling their livelihood a shithole on mass media.
Yeah, that's
and
okay.
So
Yeah.
and so they're not going to see it necessarily as, oh, that's just a bit. They're going to be like, maybe it's best we don't bring him back.
Yeah, I don't
after
care about that.
COVID.
I'll find another job that pays the bare minimum that you possibly can to another human.
the thing,
So-
I can't rag on Joe too much because I worked there and I get it.
Oh, I totally understand the sentiment. By
Yeah.
all means, but at the same time, now that I've heard the email, I would go ahead and say that.
When did you get that email, Joe? What's the date
Yeah.
on that email?
We
We
It
could.
was a couple weeks ago. Let me see. I took a bit to reply to it.
Sure.
Well, what was your reply? You got to read that.
Oh, okay. My reply was 1 week after they sent it. I said, I just saw this. Thanks for letting me know. I've still got about 20 episodes of Christmas stuff you wanted. Let me know if you'll be around sometime, and I can give them to you on a flash drive.
20 episodes
Yeah,
of
he had
Christmas
me
stuff.
pirating old TV shows, and he wanted specific Christmas episodes from old stuff.
What a world this is.
So the manager of Roxy was having one of his employees
Pirate things
steal
for him illegally.
content on the internet.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I would go ahead and say either way, Joe. It's best to put the Roxy behind you.
Okay.
I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, but that's
Um,
fine. You sometimes have to disembark on a raft. You sometimes have to disembark on a cruise ship.
Yes, you
Sure.
do.
And look at those
But-
people on the cruise ship now. They're puking and shitting on like the
Sometimes you just got to burn a bridge,
same.
Ryan.
Yeah, they've been stuck on the cruise
Yeah.
ship for 2 months. Look at them. Look at the rats.
All right.
On the
Listen,
ship, scurrying.
we've talked about this place long enough.
Yeah. So I was
What are
looking at
these
some other
three-
applications.
Yes. What are these jobs you applied for?
Well, I didn't apply for
Yeah.
anything.
Well,
I
you're
looked
gonna-
at them.
you're
Well, I
going to
wanted
right
you
now.
to go online or newspaper, any sort of employment sites
Literally any.
And
I'm on
find
the, yeah,
three
employment
jobs.
sites.
that you could do.
Yeah.
That it's not unreasonable that you could work there. It's
Yeah.
stuff that you have the skill level for. In other words, I said, don't bring me back something that needs a CDL license or something that needs a whole bunch of experience
Mhm.
or
You
welding
need
stuff.
a
That,
degree
yeah,
or something like
three
that.
jobs
A degree
that
you don't
you-
have.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got 2 degrees.
But if you need something that you, shut up, Joe. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying here.
Well, okay, listen. Sales associate part-time over at Goodwill.
Okay.
I could probably do that. It'd be boring.
Sure.
Is there a
Uh,
description for what they said you'd be doing?
Yeah, it's just typical
Let me
Goodwill shit. You move heavy
May I?
stuff. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. I got to see this. Again, I don't want Joe leaving things out here.
Yeah, you.
All right. So, sales associate, part time, shifts needed evening and weekend. That's very good. Joe is far
oh yeah, I
from
love
a
my
morning
weekends
person.
full.
Joe, you're every day. You live in a constant
Every
weekend.
day is a weekend for me.
Sales associates are responsible for all duties as assigned by the store manager, assistant store manager, and department manager. The selling, stocking, and pricing of store merchandise.
Yeah, this Sega
You could do
Genesis
that.
looks like it's about $2.
You
I'll
could do
buy
that.
it too.
You could absolutely do that.
Oh yeah.
Completing customer transaction through the use of a cash register, the straightening of racks, shelves, and other areas of
Whoops!
the
I
sales
knocked it
floor.
over.
Joe, we are at almost 20 minutes already. This is Ryan's episode.
And Joe has a lot of experience with his own rack.
Don't you hog
That's what I
this.
was trying,
Let
yeah.
Trevor get through this.
promoting the store inventory to potential customers while providing an extremely high level
Yeah,
of customer service.
Hey, fat lady, do you want this moo-moo?
Shut up, Joe. That's the one. That's really truly the only thing in here that I think is going to be a bit of a stretch for you. But all you need to do is just not say shit like you just said, and you'll be fine. And you can do that. You can behave when you need to.
Oh yeah, Joe's very polite.
Like you have a microphone, you got a platform now. You're a little silly right now because that's the whole point of the show.
Yeah. I'm like Alex Jones.
He's not. Shut up, Joe.
All right, so that's a very believable. I could totally see you applying for that and getting an interview with your previous experience.
And ideal candidates, only two things here. Ideal candidates have
legs,
previous retail experience.
Eyes.
Shut up.
No, the great thing about a resume is you can just lie on it.
To a certain extent. Yeah.
Next one here is Kroger retail clerk.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Which again is something you
it's
absolutely
all the same
can do.
Stuff, yeah.
Our primary focus is to create an uplifting customer experience through exceptional service. We are looking for
I'm
friendly
sure that's there.
and engaged people who have a passion to serve and feed the human spirit. That's Joe.
Yeah, that's Kroger's feeding the human spirit.
So that's just a bunch of fluff.
Yeah, that's nothing. What's the pay rate? Is that even on there?
Moneybags Buckley over here. I will not work for anything less than $12.50.
I would get out of bed for $500 a list.
Yeah. Where am I gonna buy my Winstons?
I would love to see Joe
making a cake.
Take to like baking or something, like a duck to water. Like I feel like there is some skill that he would just be incredible at that he just hasn't tried.
Yeah, there's something in there.
It's a cake with a stick man on it, and he's just got a hard penis with droplets coming out. That's the only thing I can decorate.
All right, last one here. Last one, and frankly, is the biggest stretch. Front desk receptionist.
At a dental office. No, I got teeth. I got 8 teeth in my head at least.
You failed your assignment this week.
Look,
front desk guy.
They require nothing more than a high school diploma.
Where
was it at?
It's
in Ottawa, somewhere in Ottawa.
You don't even remember. This is for the Ottawa Dental Lab.
A dentist's office.
It's not a dentist office. They do.
They probably feel like they probably make the plastic.
They do. They make.
People use whenever you
they
crack
make
your
molds.
teeth open
they make
on the
molds
concrete.
for the teeth,
and
for
they deliver
teeth, for retainers. So you know what? I might walk that back a little bit because Joe wouldn't be dealing with the general population.
I would be dealing with creepy Jim who's looking for 3 molars.
No, stop it. You're the creepy guy that would be taking the teeth. Joe, we did an inventory check. We're missing 3,000 teeth. What happened to them?
You told me to throw those out.
And then Joe opens his mouth and they all fall out.
Like a raccoon. I got my cheek puffed like a squirrel full of just teeth. Like you ever see Over the Hedge where they have the cookies? Yeah. It's just that with teeth.
You're like that little Steve Carell squirrel.
Yeah.
This one is generally a pretty good looking job, actually.
You get benefits at least.
$13.35 an hour, full time, Monday through Friday. 8:30 to 5.
Little early for my liking.
Benefits: 401k, dental insurance, disability insurance, employee assistance program, employee discount, health insurance, life insurance, paid time off. Joe, you've never truly lived until you've had paid time off. It is incredible.
Yeah, it's nice.
You're gonna love it. And vision insurance, which you fucking need, bro.
I got bad eyes.
You're blind as a bat.
You gotta fix that one eye that goes in, up, down, all around anytime you take those glasses off.
Administrative duties are sorting and sending mail. You can do that easy. Answering and routing phone calls. You could do.
Excuse me,
this
is Bob.
It doesn't sound like a bad job.
No, this sounds like actually a pretty decent job. The other two are not bad jobs either, but they're kind of
there's zero responsibility.
But minimum wage. I mean, it's just
Joe. There's more to looking at a job and what it offers than just simply the pay rate. Of course, the pay is very important, the most important part. But there's also
it's the thing you need to eat.
There's also job life balance. There's also the hours, the consistency of it, which you'd be working Monday through Friday, so you could build your life around. As opposed to with these other jobs where you're waiting for a schedule to come out. You may work a Saturday afternoon.
It's not like they're going to call you one morning and go, we don't have as many teeth orders as we thought. You can stay home today. It's no, you're going to go in. And
they're not going to tell me listen, we really thought back molars were going to do better this summer. We're not going to need you this shift.
Yeah. Hey, that Hunger Games movie's tanking. You can go home.
And here's the other thing is you're going to have sick time. So if you do get sick or you break your foot or something happens to you, you're going to be covered there.
Or hey,
you're gonna have health insurance.
Even if you've got a day where you wake up and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to fucking work today.
I got a little cough.
Yeah. Hey, I'm using a PTO day. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. It's great. It's a great feeling.
So, although of the three, and good choices, Joe. Even though that third one, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and say that the third one, yes, is definitely a stretch because I also
you
get
don't think
a
I'm cut
very
out for the tooth
from the
business.
description. I also get a secretarial vibe from it.
A little bit, yeah.
Probably.
One of the duties was
Faxing.
basically you'd be the first person that anybody sees when they come in.
I just got cheese all over my shirt.
So you'd be sitting there, hello, sir, welcome to Dental Damnation or whatever it was called.
I got beautiful teeth.
You got decent teeth, Joe.
I got nice choppers.
God.
But it's your I think the biggest hurdle with that job, and I'm not saying you can't do it, I think you could do it. I said the hurdle I'm taking is actually getting them to hire you.
Yeah.
Would be the interview and how you relate to people.
Well, listen,
and that is not a problem unique to you. That's anybody. That's gonna be. But that's the whole thing with Joe is I don't know people. People don't like me. I can't speak. You can. I know you can. Ryan knows you can. We've seen it.
Yeah.
You just.
But whether you want to.
Well,
Whether
listen,
you will do it.
I got something over Joe Schmuck coming in off the street looking for a job. I got a USB drive full of pirated films I could hand over.
I mean, a bunch of people would have that. I have that, Joe.
No, but do you have a puppet film about the Marquis de Sade and his talking penis?
All right, no.
I do.
That's enough. Listen.
What movie is that?
It's called Marquis from 1989.
Oh, thank God
okay.
we know what that movie is now.
Yeah, I thought it was something else you were describing because it sounded similar to something else I was listening to.
Meet the Feebles or who knows what.
Yeah. All right. Well, Joe did his homework, and I would say did it well. You did very good. Those are 3 good jobs there. One is a bit of a stretch, but is not unattainable.
Well, I got a smiley face, and then I got C+ turned in homework.
Well, no. Well, there's a follow. You have to apply for them.
Yeah, you got to apply for these, Joe.
You have to apply. You need a job. So I want you to apply for all 3 of them.
And I know you have a resume because I made you one.
And then we can have a follow-up on whatever, we can return back to this and see what happens because I'm curious to see. And I will tell you this, Joe, put me down as a reference.
Okay.
You put me down as a reference,
Put me down as a reference. I will not give you a bad reference.
Now, I understand Ryan's got some stories for us.
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
some work
well,
stories.
we were talking about jobs. I've had a lot of jobs, man. I've had a lot of jobs. I've worked, my resume covers everything from retail to broadcasting to working in factories to working with intellectually disabled men to working in a mailroom and running a mailroom and radio. So it's like I've had so many strange work-related experiences. I've worked jobs that are so unrelated to other jobs, like for instance, the atmosphere and the general world of working in a nail collating factory.
Wait, they make fingernails? Like fake fingernails?
No, nail guns. Nail guns.
Okay.
Nail gun, Joe.
Okay,
If I had a nail gun and you were sitting next to me, I'd have it pressed to your temple.
Oh yeah, you would just deafen me and blind me.
Oh, just for starters.
And maybe a couple in the balls for a good what you do.
A bunch of green smoke comes out of your balls like when like in Wizard of Oz.
What about whenever the Green Goblin dies and he says, "You were the one, Spidey. You spat in my face, and I'm the Goblin."
We need to do like a script reading of Spider-Man 1 sometime and Joe can play the Green Goblin.
And
No,
Norman
I want to be
Osborn.
Mary Jane.
No, you have to be Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
And we need you to play it straight when you're Norman.
Okay.
Because this is acting, Joe.
Norman.
Yeah.
Norman, look it. You gotta put on your green suit. What are you, some kind of pussy boy? No. Oh, please, no. I don't want to be evil.
Joe, this is not in the film. Come on.
It would be with the script, Joe. It wouldn't be you making up your own lines. So.
Yeah, we're not.
That's a lot less fun.
But God, so I was going to just kind of cover my 3 favorite jobs, if you will, I guess. So the first job that I would say, I'm going to go chronological order of having the jobs. One of my favorite jobs that I had was years and years ago. I worked at the Peru Mall in Peru, Illinois during Christmas time, and I sold calendars at a kiosk in the middle of the mall. Every time the holidays come around, you see those kiosks, and it's just calendars.
You're one of those
Every time
guys.
your grandma gets the hot firefighter calendar, you know who sold it.
What year was this, Ryan?
This would have been I did it for 2 years, 2 Christmases. And then in the meantime, during the non-holiday years, I worked at Walden Books because it was part of Walden Books.
Oh, okay.
But it was Christmas 2000 and Christmas 2001 because I worked for Walden Books while I was going to the community college. So for 2 years. But the best part of the job, the Walden Books side was whatever, selling books, but it was fine. But working in the calendar kiosk was amazing. It was zero responsibility.
Okay, you could just go walking out of the kiosk and nobody could stop you.
You sat there. I brought in my own stool because they didn't provide you anywhere to sit. Luckily, I had a stool. I brought in my own stool. I had
I'm
a little
sorry,
radio.
sir. The last person stole the chair.
I just sat there, and then I occasionally, maybe once a week, you'd put the new calendars up that would come in the mail, and otherwise you just sat there. And because it was the mall, you were part of the mall culture. I don't know if either of you guys worked in a mall before, but
I've been to malls, but
you end up becoming the mall culture. It's like you end up becoming friends with everybody that works.
Yeah, it's.
Stores.
I haven't worked in a mall, but I worked. I drew caricatures down at Disney World for a few years.
Okay.
And I can only imagine it's very similar to that because one of our stations was at their it was called Downtown Disney back then, and it's essentially an outdoor mall. And I was just one stand, kind of like your calendar spot.
Yeah.
And if nobody was coming to buy things, you just kind of stand around and talk to the other people who are equally as bored as you are.
Yeah, and most of the time I work by myself. Occasionally I had another employee that would help out on weekends, but usually it was just me. And during the weekdays, even though it was
I can
Christmas,
imagine it would be pretty dead. I don't imagine many people
dead
were
as
buying
hell.
calendars.
No, I would sit there, listen to the radio, read a magazine. Somebody would come up and buy a calendar, and then my friends would come hang out because it's the mall. It's like in the middle of the mall, so I didn't have a boss
It's like
looking over my
paradise for a
shoulder.
teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just like hang out, you know what I mean, and occasionally help a customer. And then because it was the mall, you had a mall discount, so I'd wander down to the when there was food, when there was food court, or not a food court, but there was like Sbarro's, and we had Hot Sam's, and there was like an A&W type of stand where you got like mini tacos and shit like that. And
Yeah, maybe take yourself a ride on that little tiny train. Get yourself a hot
I don't know
pretzel.
if that was there then, but
but that was
I assume most malls have like a little tiny train that you can sit in.
sure.
Peru Mall did have those sort of decorations. They didn't have a little train, but they had the little robotic like elves and the robotic like mice.
remember
I want to
when
go
was
in
a
the
kid.
rocket ship, mommy.
I
Can have a quarter.
Yeah, I remember this time of the mall. I mean, shit, it's very possible that Ryan sold me some books when you worked at Walden Books. So
I probably did. I was
a little boy.
Can I have Captain Underpants again? I ruined
Like
the last one.
like all of 2001 and then through fall of 2002. I worked for Walden Books, but during about just before Thanksgiving all the way through middle of January of each year, I was strictly down at the kiosk all the time. But what's funny, and again, it was zero responsibility. You became friends with everybody that worked in other stores. Everybody got off at the same time every night. So you'd go hang out with, your lunch break, you'd go into Walgreens and talk to the girl there and make plans to go hang out at the bowling alley. So it was just this, you were working, but it didn't feel like you were working. It was just like, I was hanging out at the mall. I was getting paid for it. It was Christmas time. And what was funny, and there was other kiosks that would come in during that time that weren't there any other time of the year.
Yeah, just
So
people
there was
selling just crosses and then cookies.
Well, yeah, there was, there's the sausage.
Yes, the Pepperidge Farm.
Guys come in. And there was one guy in particular, and I called him Death because he looked like he was dead. And he sold Orange Glow, the shit to clean your hands.
Oh boy.
So he sold Orange Glow, and he also sold like these little remote control airplane things. Those were the only two things he sold at his kiosk, and the dude didn't talk.
Yeah.
You couldn't get him to talk. He had sunken in eyes. He didn't look alive. One time I saw him walking. He was maybe taking a break, and he was walking, and he was going to cut through Claire's. And he slammed his shoulder because he wasn't paying attention. Fucking guy slams his shoulder right into like one of the beams, knocks over some shit, and just keeps walking. And this guy's like in his 60s. He's just this old, crusty old bastard.
Some
that every
burnout.
Christmas, yeah.
Okay,
Wait. Is there any chance that was Soup Bednar?
No!
Uncle
Was
Soup
it-
Bednar
did
himself.
Uncle
Absolutely not.
Did Uncle Soup sell Orange Glow?
He liked bowling. He was a kind man.
Well, this
A
guy might
con
like
man?
bowling too, but
Oh, no, the thing I want to do most now is just, if it wasn't so goddamn expensive, I would. It's just set up a stand in, like, the mall around Christmas time, and then you just sell pine cones shaped like the baby Jesus. But it's just pine cones, so people buy them from you out of pity.
you know what? If they were painted well, there's a lot of people that would buy those.
You sculpt
Those are-
them a little bit.
No,
Joe.
they're just
Yeah.
pine cones, sir.
just pine cones, he says.
Yeah, but they're shaped like the baby Jesus.
That's fine.
You can see
I'd
Jesus
like-
in
I'd
every
like-
pine cone.
I'd like you to do that, Joe, because I'd like to see the steps. I'd like to make a documentary of you starting a small business
That'd be funny.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
and all the foibles that come with that. All
Maybe
you
that's-
see is all the funny bit about selling, but the actual work that would have to go into you starting a business. I'd love for that to happen.
Hey, I'm thinking about selling some of my DVDs, some of my Magic cards, and maybe I'll start shipping some shit out.
Okay.
There you go.
But anyway, to wrap up this favorite job, the one year, the second Christmas in particular, the guy I was talking about, ran the Orange Glow kiosk. He hired some random guy, some transient that was just passing through, called himself Cracker, and this guy was insane. I
He just-
guarantee he probably had a rap sheet.
Sure.
He was just this wild, crazy dude, and he told us that he was I'm a tattoo artist. And he showed us he gave himself like a homemade tattoo of the Limp Bizkit logo on his leg,
fancy of
but-
him.
but he didn't finish it. So it was like LIMPBIZ.
Yeah,
and
I'll
then
do
it-
that later. I gotta buy some more ink.
And he worked for cash under the counter, worked for the Orange Glow stand, and the dude was insane. I mean, you'd see him just wandering up and down the mall, hitting on women, talking inappropriately. And
No,
the mall-
Cracker. No, you need to come back here. Your break's not right now.
And that's
No,
what-
no, Cracker, you can't eat food right now.
And he just like would come hang out at the kiosk, and I didn't like the guy. I didn't want to talk to him because he was creepy and he was
Yeah,
weird.
get away. You smell bad.
But he would just come down. Hey man, how's it going? And I'm like, oh, you working down at the Orange Glow stand today? And he's like, no.
Yeah, I just came to the mall
He
for
would just
8
come into the mall to
hours.
hang out. Yeah, nothing because he was staying at one of the hotels by the mall, the one that I think burned down or had a fire. It's no longer a hotel.
And I think we have a prime suspect.
Yeah, I think
just
Mr.
live there,
Cracker
and I-
himself.
it was the duo Soup and Cracker.
Yeah.
No, not soup.
But yeah, so I mean, the reason I love that job so much is, like I said, there was no responsibility. It would have been a perfect job for you, Joe,
Yeah, I think so. I like sitting.
in retrospect, because all you had to do was make sure there was enough Shih Tzu calendars on the wall, and then you took people's money, and that was it. All you sold was calendars. No extra stuff. No deals.
You can't open up the plastic on a calendar, but you can take a little peek at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit. Let me tell you.
That's getting an air horn.
No, I know all about that. Let me tell you, I've seen a couple swimsuits in my day.
Yeah.
The
I'm sure you
Macy's
have.
Day dress
It's-
calendar.
And
What?
so I'm just going to
Macy's
keep
Yeah,
rolling,
just keep,
Joe.
just
I'm
keep
just gonna
talking,
keep
Ryan.
rolling.
It's
I'm
Ryan's
listening.
show.
Just
Okay.
keep throwing those rocks, Joe. Keep throwing those rocks. Maybe one of them will crack open a diamond. You just keep throwing those bits, and we'll see what
Hey, I
happens.
got some good stuff in the pipeline.
Get it out.
Yeah, I
then.
bet.
Get the good stuff out.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Joe wants to build up to it. He's like, I give you the shit first, to reward
I
you
ain't
with the
got
good
gold
stuff at
all
the
day.
end.
I'm not like a little goose shitting out gold eggs.
And so I'd say one of my second favorite jobs, which is going to surprise people that knew me, and you all knew me while I was working at this place, because while I was working there, I hated every
Yeah.
fucking second of it. But I would say one of my second favorite jobs was running the shipping and receiving department at the college. And the reason is because, I was the manager. It was my little domain. I didn't have anybody standing over me. And there was a lot of responsibility. It was completely opposite of working at the calendar kiosk, where I had zero responsibility, really. This, I was responsible for everything. I had employees. I had to make schedules. I had to, create budgets.
you gotta make sure
if there was ever
You gotta
any
make sure that all
issues.
the mail for Tuttle Emerson doesn't go to Buttled Emerson.
Yeah, well, there's that too. But there was a lot of responsibility. But at the same time, nobody was hovering over me, and I was the boss. So I had a lot of freedom. We were getting ready to do Butcher the Bakers at that time. I remember skipping out. I kind of could make my own hours a little bit, so we could do our podcast that we had at the time, and I could go to Tyler's house. And so it was really beneficial, for personally, because I could do stuff, while I was at work, that had nothing to do with my job. So as long as I got my stuff done and the department was running well, and I had a lot of freedom.
The mail wasn't on fire.
Well, there was a lot more to it than just mail, Joe. It was shipping and
okay.
receiving. So literally anything that college ordered, whether it was a fucking
A
3D
human
printer,
cadaver.
we had a body brought in. Yeah, they brought. I didn't do that. They one of the science teachers.
Oh yeah,
borrowed
they
the
had
truck.
an
My department had
anti-poking
its own
team
truck.
on it.
He borrowed the truck and drove it up to Chicago, where he gets the medical supplies, and brought back a cadaver. I didn't see the body, but when he brought it back, I remember he came to the window. We had the little mailroom window there, and he gave me the key, and he says, you might want to leave there was a topper on the truck. He's like, you might want to leave the gate open and the topper window open for a while, kind of air out the formaldehyde smell.
Yeah. You might want to leave the air conditioner on. She's starting to bloat.
And I was like, you fucking kidding me. So I go out there, and I walk out to the truck, and there's wet. There's liquid.
Just
it had
a truck.
It had a liner. The truck had a liner to it. So it was all those little divots. In all the divots, there was liquid. I don't know what the fuck that was. I don't know if that was formaldehyde.
It was just pickle juice.
I don't know if that was formaldehyde leaking out of the stiff, or if that was some sort of fucking.
They just threw the body in the back of the truck. All right.
I was so pissed. I was like, Jesus. Yeah, I was like, don't you guys pack this in dry ice or something? I know it's a 2-hour drive.
No, we used the peanuts, sir.
Nah, he was just rolling around back there the whole time.
For Christ's sakes.
Flying down 80.
We used the bubble wrap.
And so I took it to one of the car washes.
Joe, you
in
don't have
Oglesby.
to yell right here.
Well, Joe has to scream because he's got to make sure his bit is hurt.
I don't know. I can't be responsible for every little action I take.
And you're interrupting Ryan.
And I will say this, Joe. I say maybe we need to schedule these. We need to schedule these recordings when they're not so close to the release of an episode. Because right now, Joe Buckley, you're riding high on the first 4 episodes coming out. And
That's
all
true.
your little fans saying how much I can't wait to have Joe Buckley. Your fucking head.
Yeah. More Joe. That's what I say.
And that's great.
Actually,
Joe.
Ryan,
I'm happy for you.
this is giving me a great idea.
But
Ryan, this is giving me a great idea.
You're coming in today way too fucking hot.
Hey, that's because I drank half a gallon of coffee.
You shut up. Ryan, I got a great idea. You know how in chess, in good chess, they each have their little timer?
Yeah.
Joe gets a bit timer at the top of the episode.
Yes.
He gets 3 minutes of bits each episode.
Oh.
Yep, total. That you got to get it out quick, and it better be good.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. No context bits either, because you just got to save it at the beginning of the thing.
I honestly, the entirety of the beginning of each bit.
I honestly think we should try that for an episode, just for a gag. I think it'd be funny.
I'll get an app for it. Hold on.
But I think that's a great idea. Joe gets a 3-minute block of bits that he gets to get at the top of the show, spit it all out, and then you're done. You got your jokes out. And then you can actually engage and relax and have a conversation.
Oh, yeah, I'm on the tip of my toes.
Joe's sphincter right now is so fucking compressed. I can't imagine. It's like a pressure cooker. He's so wound up.
I can make diamonds in my shitter.
Ryan, the floor is yours. We'll let you get back into you. Oh, for some reason it's muting. Oh, he's muting himself. Ryan.
What?
For some reason, I think you were muting yourself on accident.
Now I just got a phone call. I just had to send it away.
I get you.
You see, Ryan is so over talking about you, Joe, that he took a fucking phone call in the middle of a podcast.
Listen. We got some good stuff prepared for you, audience.
But here's the thing. What I think is going to happen with this bit idea is now Joe has pressure to do prep.
Mm-hmm.
And so
you can get him out. You just have to be regimented with them.
He's got to have 3 minutes to come up with 3 minutes of bits.
Or I just use them all in the first 5 minutes and can't talk for the rest of the podcast.
I mean, that's great.
No, you can talk. You just got to talk about the topic at hand and not make references that are 6 degrees removed from whatever Ryan just said.
Yeah.
I got my penis caught in my zipper once, Ryan.
Well, Ryan's talking about his poor dead ex-wife.
No context Joe. He just Joe doesn't think about his whole audience. He doesn't think about the random person coming across the podcast. He thinks about 4 people in particular, and he just tried to make some left. Matter of fact, I went back and I listened to the Jaws 2 Clash of the Commentary not too long ago. And
okay. What do you think of it?
I liked it, but there was a moment, and now I know, and I can't remember what the example is, but you were trying. Now I realize you were trying to force some sort of in joke that I did not get, and that you knew was only going to be get by a handful of people. And it totally doesn't.
I may have. I can't remember.
I don't remember what it is offhand now, but when I re-listened to it, I was like, because you've done it since, and I was like, look at he's
trying to make something catch on.
It was either, re-listening to it, I was like, that was Joe trying to force an in joke that I did no idea what he was talking about, and I just barreled through it.
You thought I might have had a stroke?
Maybe.
I had no idea what you were talking about. I figured you were just babbling on at the head. Yeah. But now I know you were trying to force a bit where there was no bit. And it had nothing to do with what I was talking about, and nothing to do with Jaws 2.
Well,
it was some sort of in joke.
But sometimes
it was some sort of in joke. So you weren't thinking about the audience in general. You were thinking about
They might as well call you the Bit Buster.
a specific. When it comes to your
Sure.
bits, bitch, I'll bust them all day long.
Yeah. This bit's busted.
Now we're gonna come up with a sound effect. Bit busted. When they what the fuck was I talking about before Joe? Just
Well, you were talking about your job in the
squealed
mailroom.
out.
Yeah, you were going
yeah.
over your mailroom job.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else about that? You had a body come through one
The
time?
body came through, so I ended up having to clean out the back of the truck because it stunk like whatever that rot was, and so I took it to one of the car washes that in the manual one with the hand sprayer, and I just
The indoor car wash.
I just kept putting like money and quarters in it, and for like a half hour I just sprayed that water, piled to try and get that stink out, and then I left the the tailgate down and the top open. It took weeks for that stink to come out of there.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Like it was the shipping and receiving department, so it was half mailroom, half. So semi trucks would come up with pallets of shit that I'd have to take off with the pallet jack. Paper deliveries, like 40 pallets worth. So all that sucked. Like the work itself
just
sucked.
moving shit. Yeah.
It was, I got hurt all the time, because it was sometimes very dangerous. Because here I am trying to take literally a 4,000-pound pallet down a concrete ramp just myself, and it's not a power jack.
Yeah, but the ramp's like half off the thing because they haven't fixed it in 130
Oh
years.
yeah, so there was a lot of issues. There was no money put in my department at all, so everything was broken. There was no software. So that's what I mean. It sounds strange for me to say that was one of my favorite jobs, but it was just simply because of the freedom and because it was nice, being a manager. It was nice not having somebody telling me what to do ever. I knew what I had to do to run the department, and I did it. And so therefore I was like, my supervisor was the vice president of the school, which meant she didn't give a shit. She's got bigger fish to fry. She's the vice president.
Yeah, you're tenured.
So, but I was considered administration, so I had to go to all the meetings and stuff. So, I mean, it was kind of nice to have this little bit of weird responsibility, but I had a lot of freedom. So in retrospect, it was not a bad gig to have, and I get, like we were talking about, I got all the benefits and all that kind of shit. So, and we had Fridays off in the summer, and you had tons of time off, paid time off. Like you got 2 weeks paid time off at Christmas. It had nothing to do with your vacation time. Because I used all my vacation time shooting Butcher the Baker. So I used like a week and a half of my vacation time to shoot the movie.
Time well spent.
But it didn't matter because I knew I had all this other time off at Christmas time, and you had all the holidays off paid. Nice. So it wasn't a bad day job.
Yeah, if you see a package incoming from the M&M Corporation, let's just say that package could be slipped under a desk or something like that.
Joe, he doesn't still work there.
No. I'm saying if he did back in the day.
He is a consummate professional.
Yeah, I did my job.
I understand.
Man. So, and then I would say my third favorite job was the one I previously had before I left, which is doing the radio, working with the radio, doing the radio show with Sean Walsh, and now Zach has my position, and they sounded credible together. Couldn't figure a better pairing if I chose to. So
you know what you got to do? You got to figure out how to get the microphone off of the stand and just do the radio laying down on the floor.
I did it standing up.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Because you'd want to get energy sometimes, and hour number 7 of talking about whatever the fuck is going.
The Piggly Wiggly.
You need a little something.
Yeah, Piggly Wiggly.
You need a little something, a little juice in the tank. But man, that job was awesome. Everybody there was cool. Every job I've ever had, other than that one, there was always somebody there that kind of sucked or was a douchebag or you had problems with. Not so at that radio station, man. Everybody there was great.
Yeah, you brought me on to do
we brought Joe on, for God's sake.
Fun doing that.
Oh, that's right.
We had a segment for a while called the Real
Talk with the Real Joe Buckley.
Real Talk, yeah, that's right. Real Talk with the Real Joe Buckley. And let me break it down, Joe Buckley aficionados, that obviously we're not privy to this. Although I do think these are all still
they
on
might
the
still be on the
website.
Yeah.
I think they are. You have to search Joe Buckley on the website. But anyway, so here's what would happen. When we came up, Sean and I, my co-host, we came up with this idea. Joe Buckley would come in. We would talk about it, whatever movie was coming out that weekend. And then we would, that would be the bit. But we couldn't do it live because Joe Buckley. I mean, come on.
No, I can't be trusted with a hot mic.
Not only that, because he would squeal, but unlike podcasts, we had to keep everything down to like 2 minutes.
PG, yeah.
PG, but also brevity, also for time. We couldn't do your breaks.
Yeah, you got to do a 3-minute bit. I go for 14 and a half minutes.
We were always getting our balls busted for going a little too long than we should have on our breaks all the time. So specifically with the Real Talk with the Real Joe Buckley, it was pre-recorded and then I would edit it. And I love you, Joe, and I love the bits. But man, I would not look forward to the amount of work.
I
And
understand.
Joe
I understand.
and Tyler, above everybody, understands this. But the amount of
Absolutely.
work that goes into
It takes to
editing
edit Joe.
Joe Buckley into a cohesive 2 minutes that doesn't sound edited. It had to sound
I
like
can't
it was live.
imagine.
And so I would take like sometimes a 7, 8, 15-minute spiel between Sean, Joe, and myself. And I'd have to cut that fucker down to like two and a half minutes.
Cut all the juice out of it.
These are all still on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
on
oh,
the
yeah,
website,
Good,
by the way.
good. And I loved
Yeah,
them.
I just pulled them up here.
And I loved them.
These look very good.
I thought they were great bits. I had a lot
Yeah,
of
there's
fun
some really
with them.
good stuff in there.
And it was one of my favorite things to do. But the amount of work that went into them. And eventually we just kind of petered out because the audience just never connected. Like, multiple times we would say, hey, text us if you have something to say about Joe, if you want to set Joe up on a date. And we got 0 texts. I think one of the only times we got a text about Joe was when you were talking about, I think, Pitch Perfect 3 or 2, or one of them was coming out. And the way you described the movie, because that was the bit, was Joe didn't see any of these movies. He was just going to tell us
I
what
would
he
never
thought.
watch them.
He never watches any movies.
No, well, they weren't even out when we were recording them because we record on
Right.
Thursday and the movie would come out Friday and we would air it Friday morning. So Joe would, the way you described either Pitch Perfect or something, it was very loud. It was Joe style. You were talking about your grandma, and some lady was just so offended. She texted, she's like, I don't know why you have him on the air. That was terrible. And my, response is,
He
well,
needs
we
to
like it.
apologize to his grandmother.
But Sean and I like it just after because we did quite a few of them.
Oh, yeah, there's probably 15, probably about 15 of them.
And to my,
Yes, quite a few here on the website. still.
yeah, and to my recollection, we never had a conversation about not doing it anymore. And our boss loved you. Everybody there liked you. Everybody loved seeing
Yeah,
Joe.
everybody was nice.
They would let Joe borrow DVDs.
I got to borrow a Criterion Collection edition of Salo.
Yeah,
If you know anything about that film from there.
Our head of sales is a big movie guy, and he actually had a copy of Salo at his desk.
Oh, yeah. And the
it
whole
blew my
film is
mind.
nothing but naked people just eating shit.
And it's an art film, and so it's not surprising that any sort of film aficionado would enjoy Salo. I just didn't realize he was such a film guy that he had his own copy of Salo. But he and Joe bonded there, and so there was never any conscious decision where we're like, Joe is not. We're not going to keep doing this.
He's out.
It just sort of fizzled out. I guess.
Yeah, no. I know it was a lot of work. Yeah.
But I don't regret any of the bits, and I love all of them. I think the Christmas one in particular may be one of my favorite ones, where Joe talks about making cookies for his diabetic grandmother. And
I call them vegetable cookies.
That may be one of my favorite ones. We had you do Chewbacca because when Star Wars: The Last Jedi came out, we had you talking about that. And we had you do Chewbacca voice, and it was just a mess.
Oh wait.
Just like Chewie.
Yeah,
That's exactly what he
I'm the
sounds
new
like.
Chewie.
That's right.
But
Come on, Obi-Wan, let me have some of that green milk.
it was
What?
so for all the,
Luke, give me the green milk.
for all the shit I give Joe, and all I also am one of Joe's biggest enablers. We gave him this.
That's true.
Bring him on the radio for God's sake. We give him this and laugh at
Put
the
him on a
fucking
platform.
jokes. He says the same green milk joke. I don't know how many times I've heard the green milk joke.
Oh yeah,
and I
it's
laugh every
hundreds of
goddamn
times.
time.
Well, you're picturing me drinking green milk. That's why it's so funny every time.
Just as much to blame for Joe's, rampant ego as anybody on earth. So, I can't really fault him too hard for it. But those are probably my 3 favorite jobs overall. But man, like I said, I've had a lot of them. Let me do a quick rundown from my memory. I've worked in 3 factories, 2 of which I worked for less than a week.
Oh yeah. You just gotta get out of there.
I've
Burn
worked,
the place down.
I've worked at a Walden Books. I've worked at a Borders. I've worked at a Walmart for 6 months. I worked at a Whole Foods for about 2 weeks. I worked at an agency for adults with cerebral palsy and different intellectual disabilities. I did that for like 2.5 years. With multiple 5 or 6 radio stations, multiple mailrooms, one in a big law firm, one doing the shipping, receiving. And then my last gig that I was doing here before COVID took it away, it was working for Rico. With, and you just sat in an office and you observe, you tracked all the printers in a
Oh, I was
huge
gonna
building.
say, you
There was
look
like
after the pens.
there was over like 108 printers, and you monitored them, and if one had an error, you went and figured out what was going on. Again,
I get
that
what
was
you're
a
saying.
super simple gig that I had,
No, but I want to get hired at the bank just to make sure that nobody steals more than one pen.
Yeah, give me
I'll
the
be
bank's
security.
pen guy.
Yeah, pen
Yeah.
security.
Yeah.
Oh, and in this story I'm going to tell now, because as you heard, if you have a lot of jobs, that means you quit a lot of jobs.
Yes.
When I was
I still never got to quit.
when I was a young man, early 20s, I didn't give a shit about burning bridges when it came to jobs, and I would quit on a whim. And often I would quit without notice when I was younger. Those factory jobs, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, who cares about burning down the bridge when there's 1,000 other bridges right next to it?
I was like 21. I was working at this one factory. I woke up on a Saturday morning because they asked me if I'd work overtime. And I woke up that morning. I was like, I don't feel like getting up. No call, no show. I mean, obviously fired, and it didn't bother me. I didn't care. I didn't think about it. I was like, well, I just won't put it on my. Of course, nowadays I wouldn't do that. Nowadays I give, as much notice as I can. But there was one job in particular that I quit. I burned the bridge without looking back with a lot of dynamite.
You gotta be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, just running shirtless through the blaze.
So this was just before I moved to Chicago.
Through the blaze.
I worked for a family video.
Those are actually still around. I'm shocked, but they're still around.
The family video in question still exists and still thrives to this day. They sell CBD oil.
Hell yeah, dude.
The family video?
Yeah, they all do to supplement.
Yeah, all of them do. Yeah,
their income.
It's the only thing that makes money.
Yeah, they all.
I guess I believe it.
Yeah, they all seem to have signs, or at least they did. The ones I've seen, but
no returns. Absolutely no returns on them.
So at the time,
Let him speak.
So at the time, I'm just ignoring his bits now.
Okay.
At the time, I was working full time. I was going to school. I was working full time at the factory, the nail collating factory I was talking about. And
right.
But I was about ready to move to Chicago. It was December. I was going to move in January to finally go to school there, and everything was ready. So I was trying to get extra cash. So I got a part-time job working at a family video. I thought, fuck, man, it's a video store. What better job for me? I remember I went
what's
in.
the worst that could happen?
Mm-hmm.
I went in for the interview, and the manager was this total bro, this total jock guy. I don't know why I expected something different. I was naive.
Well,
I thought the guy would be another film nerd like me. Not at all. But so have you seen a good way to describe the way this guy looked? Have you seen Ghost World?
No, I haven't.
Well, in Ghost World, the character Thora Birch plays, she ends up getting a job at a movie theater, and her boss is this guy. He's not much older than her. He's got like a flat top. He's just a very jockey kind of guy, and that's how this manager was. I don't even remember his name. I just remember in the interview, I'm like referencing movies, and he's looking at me like I'm might as well been talking in a dead language. He didn't give a fuck.
Sir, we don't.
Yeah, he didn't give a fuck whether you knew about movies and nothing to do. You're basically just customer service. You put the shit on the shelf.
Sir, we don't sell movies here. We sell DVDs.
No one cared if you knew anything. You know what I mean? Your knowledge of movies were not going to be needed at Family Video, and I imagine Blockbuster was the same.
If they could get away with it, they would just put like a rock in a Family Video shirt.
So one time, they wanted you to play movies all the time. Shut up, Joe. They wanted you to play movies, and they're like, "I'll pick anything, just make sure it's not R-rated or anything." So I remember I put in King Kong, and the fucking people that would come in there and be like, "What is this? Oh, why is there an old
Your
movie?
TV's
Why is this
broken."
black and white movie up there?" I was like, Jesus, man. And I shouldn't have expected it to be any different. So I was doing the job. And I was already kind of like, oh, this sucks. This is nowhere near as fun. Everything was pan and scan, copies of Monster-in-Law. Nobody there was interested in movies. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't
not a criterion to be seen.
No, there wasn't a fun gig, and it was also really complicated. So at that time at Family Video, if you wanted to use a debit card, you had to buy rent at least $10 worth of merchandise to use a debit
Every
card.
movie's like $1 for 5 nights.
Exactly. So if you came up there and your bill was, it was going to be $4 and you wanted to use a debit card, I'd have to charge you $10 and then you'd have $10 on your credit to use the next time you came in. Which meant every single fucking time somebody wanted to use a debit card, I had to explain that situation.
Yeah, that's fuck that thing.
It just sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe help yourself to a little extra pack of Twizzlers on your way out for the. Yeah.
So
So what'd you do, Ryan?
So one night, it was a Saturday night, and it was super busy. And this was like early December. And it was one of those nights where every single person wanted to use a debit card. So every time, you had to do a 5-minute spiel about using the debit card and blah, 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 blah. So the lines would get ridiculously long. And the way the family video worked at that family video is the bathroom there were for the public, but they were locked. So you had to come up to us and ask for a key. And so I'm in the middle
Excuse me, Ryan, I have to make duty.
So I need to make mud. So I was in the middle. I was in the middle of helping a customer. And this kid comes up to the counter. And he was maybe 10, 11 years old. I had no idea. And he's like, hey, I need to use the bathroom. And I said, oh, hold on, let me grab the key, because the key was like across the vestibule. So I said, hold on, let me finish with this customer. I'll grab you the key. Kid says, thanks, walks away. The second that kid walked away, I completely forgot all about it.
Oh,
because
no.
You just accidentally made duty in his pants.
I have a list of a bunch of customers. So I help this customer, and that next customer comes up, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes pass. All of a sudden, this big, burly redneck guy comes up to the counter. Every stereotype of a redneck you could come up with, this guy had. He's got, the
chew is just dripping off the left side of his cheek onto your carpet that you're gonna have to clean up.
And he comes up, and right as I'm talking to a customer, and he yells, and he says, "Do you have the goddamn key or not?" And at first I'm like, "Key, the key master." I started thinking about Ghostbusters, and then I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute,
the page master."
And then he says, "My son needs to use the bathroom." And then I was like, oh, shit, I totally forgot about this kid. All right. I said, sorry, man. Yeah, it's obviously super busy, whatever. I walk over to the thing, pull up the key, hand it to the guy. Again, I said, sorry. He points at me, and he's like, I'll be back to talk to you.
Oh, boy.
I'm like, okay. I go right back to help the customer. Another 10 minutes passes. Guy comes back up to the key, brings the key. He tosses the key in.
That's assault. That's assault right there.
It's not only assault. But
illegally it would be. You can't be throwing objects at people.
Well, regardless, what it did is it pissed me off instantly, 0 to 60. You think I get annoyed at Joe? It was like instant. Like there was nothing else in this world right now except for like my seething rage. He tosses the key at me and he goes, "You must be new here." And I said, "Well, actually, yeah, I've only been here."
Who the fuck is this guy?
I know. I was like,
what the fuck kind of movie
he's
is
the
he?
mayor of Family Video.
And he's just this dipshit. At this point, his wife had saddled up next to him, and she was just as bad as him.
400 pounds?
She had a perm like the end of the world. I don't know what the fuck where she got their hair done, but I just remember, I'm just like, these two are just
lawnmower.
Awful. He's like, you must be new here, and I'm friends with the manager, blah, 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 blah. And mind you, I'm still helping customers. I'm still trying to take money. I'm still scanning, their DVDs and telling, okay, this movie you got for 5 days, this one you got for 3 days. You had to do all that too. So I'm trying to do this and trying to deal with this fucking guy. And and now because he hollered, everybody's looking at me. All the people in the store kind of stop and they're looking. And there's probably 30 or 40 people in the store. It was a busy Saturday night. And I said, well, yeah, I am new here. It's been a couple of weeks. I said, I just forgot to give the key. And he's like, how would you have liked it if my kid made a mess right here in the middle of the store and you would have had to clean it up? I said, well, you obviously.
I'd say, no, I'm not on biohazard. They need to get someone for that.
We got to bring in Joe Buckley to do that.
I remember thinking to myself, like, well, I probably wouldn't have been the one cleaning it, but there's a service for that.
What are you going to do?
I said, again, it was an accident. We're real busy. I forgot to get the key. And as I say this, the woman I'm helping is annoyed because it's slowing down her transaction.
Sure.
She wants to get out. And so she turns to the guy and she goes, would you mind? I'm trying to get this done here. And he puts his finger in her face and he goes, you shut up.
Ooh.
Normally, you would have a manager at the store who would step in and it would be their job to help to get the fuck out because he's throwing things at employees and yelling at other customers. Well, the girl that was there at the time, there was a couple other women I was working with. She wasn't a manager, but she was kind of like in charge that night or whatever. I don't know if there's a term for that. And she comes over, and instead of de-escalating the situation, she starts getting mad at me. She's like, well, why didn't you give him the key? And this is in front of everybody. And so I'm just so pissed. And I just started laughing. I didn't know what else to do. I just start laughing at this guy. And and that makes him more angry. And he goes, you know what? How about you clock out and we go outside right now? Made me laugh even harder because I'm like, I go, first of all, bro, I'm not going to clock out if I go outside to fight you. I'm doing this. I'm getting paid. I'm going to do this. And basically at that point, the woman stepped in and goes, Ryan, you go outside for 10 minutes. Go on your break. And I said, fine. And I go out to my car and I sit there and I'm just seething, man. I'm just so angry. I'm like, and eventually I calm down, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. I go back into the place and the guy's still there. He's still there with his wife and his kids.
Doing what?
Well, he's
Trying to
browsing
find a fucking
Twizzlers,
movie?
yeah.
looking at DVDs, man. They're just still there. And so I'm at that point, it kind of started to slow down a little bit. And so she's like, why don't you go and start putting the DVDs back, from the return bin, busy work, go back there. She just didn't want me by the counter while that guy was there because she was trying at that point to de-escalate the situation. So I said, okay. So I'm off, I'm putting the DVDs away. He finally comes up to the counter with his DVDs and I hear them talking. And basically she gives him like 10 free rentals to apologize for me and to apologize for what happened.
Please.
And I'm standing there. I'm like, motherfucker. And I've got handfuls of, shitty DVDs I'm putting away. That was it. It was at that moment I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not working here anymore. So I finished the shift out. I went home. I was hating the girl I was dating at the time. She came over to the house. I was still mad, man. I was still stewing about it. At that point, at that point, I wasn't even so much angry at the dude as I was mad at the fact that this guy got rewarded for his behavior.
Yeah.
He he yelled in another customer's face, on top of being, abusive to the staff or whatever. And so I just was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm quitting. And she was like, well, are you going to go? Because I was supposed to work the next day. So are you going to go in tomorrow and tell him? I'm like, fuck that. They got a Dropbox. It's 24 hours. I'm going to write up my letter of resignation. And so I get out a piece of paper. I get out a pen and I write this long, grandiose, like 2-page long,
manifesto.
Like how you're fucking garbage. Pan and Scan is shit. You guys don't know anything about cinema. Fuck your video store. I just read him the riot act, man. And at the very end, I said, here's my autograph. You're welcome to sell this someday. It'll be worth money.
Oh my God.
I rolled it up. I put a little ribbon around it. Like it was.
You stapled it to an extra copy of Titanic on VHS you owned.
And so I drove there and it was after midnight. They were closed and I just slid it through the Dropbox. And I fully expected the next day to at least get a call about it, but nobody ever said anything. Nobody ever called me. They just saw it. They're like, all right, whatever. I never heard a call from the manager.
Now, Ryan, did any of them attend the Butcher the Baker's premiere?
No, they don't. They did not. And I tell you, I don't know. I can't tell you any of the people I worked with there. I don't, like the manager
Big
was
ski.
from out.
One of those jobs.
Yeah, I don't, I still know most of the people I worked with at almost all my jobs to some extent, at least through social media. I can't remember any of the people I worked with at that family video.
No, you don't remember Big Ski and Little Betty?
And I didn't go into that family video again for a decade. I didn't go into that. I mean, I didn't have a need for it, but I never walked into that family video ever again. So
no, let me tell you, I have been hitting them where it hurts because basically whenever like award seasons come out, they gotta buy like 20, 30 copies of each like award movie on Blu-ray, right?
Yeah.
But then they just sit on the shelf, nobody rents them, nobody buys them. So I come in there and scoop them all up for $1 a Blu-ray. And I've just got shelves of Blu-rays from Family Video for like $1 each.
Yeah, well, good, Joe. I'm glad
they paid $30 a copy for them.
You had no idea, but you were sticking it to them. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And sticking it to the man, just blowing pot smoke in their face on buying the Skinner Girls or whatever.
Buying 8 copies of The Shape of Water.
Yeah, so I can resell them on eBay later.
But real quick, and you'll appreciate this, Joe. This was one aspect while I was working at that family video. One of the things I did have to do at the end of the night was vacuum, because they closed at that time around midnight. So usually around 11:30, it was pretty dead. You'd start vacuuming. And they did have an adult section. They had a porn section.
Real musty porn section.
And the idea was, what they kind of said was, when you go in there to vacuum, if there is a customer in there, just don't vacuum. Put the vacuum in there so they see it and walk out. We don't want to make them uncomfortable. And I remember thinking, fuck that. So, because I want to get vacuumed. The sooner I get done vacuuming, the sooner I get out of
there.
it.
You get to leave.
And I remember going in there, going in there that one time, and there was a guy there looking at, this fucking guy was actually looking at the back of these DVDs. Like there's something to read.
He's looking for actors. He's looking for director's commentary.
Joe Buckley's in this
porn cinema file.
Oh, interesting.
And I remember going back there and seeing this guy there. And I go, hey, how you doing? I just plugged in, started vacuuming right by him. And it was obvious he was very uncomfortable and just left.
Without renting his movie he was going to get.
Yeah, he left.
Buxom Grannies 4.
But that was that's the only time I actually worked in any like a movie related. At Borders, I worked in the DVD and Blu-ray section, but that was, different.
Yeah, it's the old stuff.
I remember one time some guy came in and he wanted He's like, do you have the movie Dog Soldiers? And I was like, I thought to myself, fuck, if we do, I want it. And so I got on the computer and it said one copy. I was like, no, we do not. No, we do not, sir.
Yeah, sorry, all sold out.
And then I bought that fucker that night. Sometimes, Joe, there are perks to your work, like you learned with getting the free bags of cheese from the movie theater.
Yeah, see? Most places have something like that.
No, and let me tell you, if they accidentally leave a thing of pretzels outside of the fridge for a couple hours, guess who's taking those deformed babies home?
Joe Buck's slurping those up.
Hey,
40 full-size pretzels.
How you doing on that pack of cookies, Joe? Right before we started recording, Joe showed me what his dinner was. Why don't you let the people know?
I bought a family-size bag of Chewy Chips Ahoy cookies for dinner and about a half gallon of cold almond milk mocha coffee.
Yeah. He actually hasn't touched the cookies at all during this.
I ate about a sleeve of them and left
Well, since we've been recording, he hasn't eaten or drank anything.
No, I don't really like eating on mic because it picks up.
I get it.
A bunch of stuff, and you're crinkling, and you got stuff jammed in your teeth, and you're
it's
like...
a rare, considerate moment from Joe.
Well, no, I can't get a bit out whenever I've got cookie in my mouth.
Yeah, if he's got stuff in his mouth, he can't constantly talk.
Unless that's the bit.
Aha.
Then I have a bit, but I can't get out because I got a mouthful of cookies. So yeah, there we go. Episode 6, the jobs.
Hey, yeah. We got this baby in the bag.
And I do want to follow up, Joe. Yeah, and I do want to follow up eventually when you do apply. If you hear back, are you going to apply for these 3 jobs?
Well, I mean, I still got like 4 months left.
No, Joe. No. You need to get a job.
No, but I got cash saved up. I'm gonna be good.
Okay, so you don't need to worry about any more free money. You've made enough. There are jobs available. Go ahead and try and get back in the workforce. At least apply to one, Joe, just so I can hear what they say back.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you this. Okay, tell you this, Joe. I'll make a deal with you. You apply for the jobs, and if you get an interview, at least go in the interview. They may not hire you, and you may not accept the job. But I think for the sake of the man with no brain, it would be something good to listen to.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do an interview episode.
An interview episode.
No, I could sneak in my phone into my pocket.
And no. That is breaking the format. This is a story.
We're a storytelling type
Come on
format.
here and tell stories. Guest tell stories.
Yeah.
But I want to do sleuthing.
You can sleuth on your own terms, I suppose, but that's not going to be in the episode.
Let me tell you, I'm going to be picking up big rocks in the garden and seeing what kind of bugs come scurrying out.
I mean, that's a completely different thing, but you sure.
Oh, yeah. No, I see worms, I see night crawlers, I see crickets. I see all kinds of stuff in Grammy's garden.
Sure.
And let me tell you, if Joe Buckley has anything to say about it, they're not going to be in there for much longer.
So have you exhausted all your bits for this episode, Joe? Is there any still that are in the can?
I didn't write down bits. Bits just always come naturally to me.
These are fresh off the dome, high-quality Buckley bits.
Yeah. No, it's whenever you go to like a peach tree and they just pick the ripest, juiciest peach off the little branch.
You find that black peach is just dangling there.
Just a tar pit peach.
Yeah.
Joe,
No, it's the one that James and all those bugs fuck.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I think he's done, Ryan.
Okay,
I think he's exhausted for the day. He's been here all day.
So for episode the next episode number 7, Joe, why don't you go ahead and say what the theme is?
We will be doing convention stories. So basically fun things that happen at a convention. I've been to a lot of conventions. Ryan's been to a couple. I
know Joe is a big fan of going to conventions, and
I got plenty of stories of that.
So be on the lookout for that episode when we coming out.
And while you're at it, go check out the Malevolent Movies YouTube channel. We got plenty of good stuff on there.
Yeah, so go over there, like it.
Plenty of hours to kill over on our channel there.
Hit the bell.
And let me tell you, if you watch all 85 hours, you'll be helping out the channel.
Yeah,
like and subscribe.
Yeah. Because it's like PBS. It's funded by you, the viewer.
It is.
And Joe is severely edited, might I say, on these shows.
Yeah, a little. Yeah. Too edited for the room.
Just right.
All right, Trevor and Joe, thanks once again for another stellar time.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me again.
And we look forward to next episode where we dive even deeper into the man with no brain.
Oh my God, there's nothing but nude imagery of his cousin in his brain.
No, not Dad!